Hey Explorers, I'm Justine.
And I'm Estrella, your social agent navigators, here to guide you through the crazy world of social media in real estate.
Starting your career in real estate is a whirlwind, to say the absolute least. It is so often not what we think it's going to be like at all, and the first few years can be unbelievably trying. So
Yes.
today, Estrella and I are going to chat about 4 of the biggest struggles that you may have in your first several years of real estate. And at the end, we're both going to give you words of wisdom for,
Right.
or some tips for your first couple of years of real estate.
Yeah, because it's hard, right? Like it's a lot to figure out. It's not, especially if you came from job where you clocked in and out or had there's so many things that you have to
Mm-hmm.
learn when you become a real estate agent. Um, and a lot of people underestimate the amount of discipline it takes to be in this industry. Let's first talk about like the figuring all of this stuff out, which I think is the hardest thing. When you go to real estate school and you study
They
and
teach
you
you
take all the
nothing.
tests, they teach you absolutely nothing that you need to know to run your business in real estate. Like, I know how to do meets and bounds, how many square feet are in an acre, but ask me how many times in the years that I've been doing this that I needed that information. Not very often.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out a lot on your own. And to be a successful real estate agent, you can't do things the way it used to be done. And that's exactly why you and I started this podcast, because we were trying to figure some stuff out on our own. And if you didn't know, Justine and I met on the internet and we became really good friends trying to figure stuff out, asking people that were doing cool stuff on the internet, how did you do that? How did you do that? I want to know more. Fun fact, we still have not met in person.
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's just trying to, like, you have to be very resourceful in figuring all of that stuff out. Google and now ChatGPT are my best friends in figuring out how to do marketing, best strategies for listening to podcasts, finding online communities. Like those, that's how I did it. Justine, what did you do to figure some stuff out?
Oftentimes, because I'm connected to like the real estate social media in my area, and because I've had
Mm-hmm.
people reach out when I was with EXP because they wanted to know about EXP and then they saw me on social media. So new agents will reach out to be like, "Hey, tell me about EXP." I am no longer with EXP, I'm with Compass, but either way, people reach out. I usually stay connected to those people because I love meeting new real estate friends. I'm always all about like working with people at coffee shops and whatever, no matter which brokerages they work for. And I hear all the time the new agents, as soon as they start, they have no idea what to do. And so they join a team, and that still isn't giving them like, they still feel like they don't know what to do. And so,
Yeah.
literally, even like planning your day, like
Mm-hmm.
what should I be doing every day? And so many real estate agents will tell you something different.
Yeah.
And I think that's really difficult. So for me, I pieced together what I wanted to do, but I will tell you, it is still something. I'm still a newer agent. I'm still trying to figure out what to do daily. And so for me, I pieced it together. I took the bits and pieces of what I liked from what other people were doing. I liked having
Mm-hmm.
at that time with EXP, I was able to talk to different people from different markets who were doing totally different things. I took pieces of what they were doing and I just started doing it. I will say I did it haphazardly because that's pretty much how I do things. I should haphazardly is the wrong way to say it. I do things very chaotically. It's like my ADHD brain. I get super excited and I just like implement whatever's exciting to me. And so I just did social media like all the way. But
Yeah.
it worked for me in the first couple of years. It's kind of what I latched onto. I just kind of I winged it. I winged everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not afraid to ask questions. So if I don't
Yeah.
find the answer from my brokerage, I'm going on YouTube. I'm asking a real estate friend. Like I am not very shy about being like, I don't know how to do this. What do I do?
Yeah.
But it feels weird. You feel lost sometimes.
Mhm. And you find yourself when you're trying to figure out on your own, a lot of like searching, right? I think I bought books. I was doing so much stuff, and it can be very confusing because you're getting
Mhm.
messages from all of these different places. For me, I think that what worked really well is when I found a community that I really liked that did things in the way I really liked it. I just bought completely into their strategies, their approach of doing things, and that helped me a lot with like consistency on how to figure it out because I was figuring it out in the way that this community and this program were teaching me. And it was interesting because I had to be a little like they teach very much long game, but it's worked out for me. But I think that's like if I were to offer any kind of advice, like in the beginning when you're trying to figure it all out, the first month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months, like be chaotic, like figure out, like
Mhm.
watch all the things, read all the things, listen to all of the podcasts, and then you'll start to figure out like who you enjoy listening to more and then like what kinds of advice you like a little bit more. And then once you find that, go all in for at least a year and see
Mm.
if it's going to work. You can't keep start stopping as you're in this like figuring out stage. I think that's one of the I made that big mistake at the beginning because I didn't find the community that's helped me the most now until I was probably a year into my business. Luckily, I had a good, strong like sphere of influence that helped me
Mhm.
my first year, but I could have done so much more had I implemented those systems sooner. That's like one thing, like it's okay to be chaotic in your fact finding mission and then just figure out what works for you. Like you'll know, like you'll get those emotional triggers or you just know like what is that? Like find what finds you joy. Like if you
Yeah.
dread listening to that message or if they tell you advice and you're like, "Ugh, I can never see myself doing that." Don't do
We're
it.
talking about
There's like
cold
so many
calling and
different
door
ways to do
knocking
it.
or social
Yeah,
media. Yes, agreed.
exactly. If you don't like it, don't do it. Figure out what's going to work for you.
And just to be like totally transparent, I believe Estrella is talking about coaching, but not like
Mhm.
your typical coaching, right? I think you're talking about like coaching program type of program, right? Like that's kind of what you're
Yeah.
implementing, like a full on program. It's
Yep.
telling
Mhm.
you exactly what to do. It's putting systems in place for you. And this is still something that
Mhm.
I struggle with, not because I don't have the opportunity to find it, because well, we'll get there, but the discipline is one of my biggest struggles. I saw another real estate agent. She runs a little private agent group, and one thing she posted the other day is give yourself permission to do things imperfectly.
Yeah.
And she was talking about posting on social media. She's like, I used to have this big plan, and she's changed markets. I used to have this big plan. I knew exactly how many times I was going to post, and I could get it. And she's like, and I'm just not there yet since my move. Meaning, like
Mm.
when she has time, she'll post. I think a lot of us will get frozen when we're not doing it the way we think we should be doing it. And so we just don't
Yeah.
do anything.
Mhm.
And so I loved that message that she was like, just give yourself permission. If you've got 5 minutes to post something, get on there and post it. It doesn't have to be planned, it doesn't have to be perfect. So give
Right.
yourself that permission to just dive in and try things out.
Yeah. Which is awesome. I love that.
Yes. So, number two biggest struggles that you're probably going to have when starting your career in real estate is doing all of the things, even the ones you hate.
Mhm.
You are the business, every part of it. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us don't realize that either.
Yeah, I think that I mean I love that as well. Like that struggle.
Hmm.
When you come from, let's say, an organization, even if it's a small business, they typically have like an accountant, someone who does sales, someone who does operations. So you have like these roles defined, and there's people who serve those roles. Well, when you're a real estate agent, you are everything. You're start to stop in the middle. Your customer service, retention, legal, compliance, like documentation for everything. You do it all. And
Hmm. And
I
you're
don't
gonna
like doing it all.
No, and you're going to find out real quick what you're good at and what's a struggle for you, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these things, like for me, the accounting, I never wanted to do any type of accounting. I suck at accounting for my own bills, let alone for my business, even admin stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
do not like admin work at
Yeah.
all. I don't like sitting at my
Mm-hmm.
computer. I don't like checking emails. I don't like getting back to people on email. I don't like writing contracts. I do not like any part of transaction, of admin. So for me, I like the marketing piece. I'm
Yeah.
the people piece. Those are my two things. I
Mm-hmm.
love being out and about, showing houses, running around, talking to people. I love marketing. I love social media, all that other stuff. I don't like. And you know what? When I'm in my first couple of years, I can't afford to pay somebody to do it, so I'm doing it
Yeah.
anyway. So I think
Yeah,
that also
exactly.
is a huge, huge struggle.
Well, and I think that too, you have to ask yourself, like, as you start to build your business too, we don't get paid by the hour, but like you can figure out what is your, like, on average, what is your hourly rate. And when you think of that and you think of like, does this make sense for me to do it myself or should I be hiring it out? And if you can't afford to, right, there's ways that you can figure it out differently, right?
Hmm.
So maybe you're so busy your first couple years in your business because you're the accountant and marketing and doing everything else, but you hate doing laundry, and there are laundry services where you literally put the bag out on your porch. They'll wash and fold your laundry and bring it back a day or two later. Or you can do like the mill planning services, like
Mm.
where they mail you everything or ship it, or like even like the mills that are pre-made for you, like those companies like Factor, or there's a lot of like local meal prep services in a lot of markets where you go and they have, and they're healthy meals, and you can do that for like your kids if you have kids at home. I mean, there's ways that you can do it where it's in your budget, right? You already have a budget for your groceries, but now instead of you making the meal, you are buying these prepackaged fresh meals that are made weekly or daily with these like local companies. And so you're not eating poorly, but now you're saving time. So that could save you maybe 5 hours of time so that you can do some of these other things. And then systems. I know I'm like a tech savvy person, but the reason why I love tech so much is there's so much automation that could be done. Like I use
Hmm.
QuickBooks and I can scan from my phone my receipts right away, and then I can go back later. Eventually, like I'm setting up a system where I can hire a VA where all you think of all of the bills that you get the receipts for in your email. So I can create like this whole email folder and send all of those receipts to my VA so they can upload everything for me. And that's going to cost me like, I think when I was looking into it, like $70 a month just to do like entering all of those expenses. Or you can hire your kid to do it, or your nephew, niece, whatever, for like $50, just go in and manually data and put all those things for me for an hour.
I love that I know you've mentioned it before. Whenever in real estate, when you're like, when we're listening to our coaches and our groups, they're talking about, like outsource, outsource, outsource. Is that the wrong word? Not outsource,
Yeah.
leverage. But it's kind
Leverage.
of like
Yeah. There you
outsourcing.
go.
I mean, you're basically outsourcing, but leverage.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it and using that money that you're using for home stuff and leveraging your home stuff. Like, I think you've mentioned it before, but I don't think it hit me quite as hard as you just saying it. Is like, oh, if I'm paying for meals, I could pay for this service instead, or just like your laundry, and that's going to give me more time to not feel overwhelmed in my business.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Mm-hmm.
think finding the money, and I'm still trying to figure that out right now, after being in 2 years of real estate, that leverage, I don't want to do all the things. And so even if I have a little bit of money right now, I'm trying to find somebody to do my newsletter. And a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
I asked for advice on a page that we're on, and it was just like, oh, we'll just use this template. I was like, no, you don't understand. I don't want to look at the template. I don't want to see the template because I'm not going to do it. I mean, I'm going to do it, but
Right.
I don't want to think about it. I want it done and I want to send it. That's it. I
Yeah.
want somebody to put the content there. I want to give them an outline. So I am currently looking. I did try somebody on Fiverr. Didn't go great. So I'm going to try somebody else. Because I
Yeah.
want to just be able to pay monthly and have it done. And like you said, the time that it takes me to put a newsletter together, if I can pay to get it done, it really is worth me being able to work on that marketing and social media piece to be able to have somebody else be doing that.
Yeah. And you have to be careful too. I remember, and this is like advice that I got when I used to do multi-level marketing. Fun fact, I used to do multi-level marketing. I'm a fluffy and fabulous girl, and I used to sell at a very like large team with a weight loss company, which is so weird that I was fluffy and fabulous selling this. But anyways, I had like 200 people on my team. But it was the one of the best pieces of advice they gave was focus on income producing activities and understand, like, are you busy or are you producing income? So adding like your laundry and all of that kind of stuff, that's definitely not income producing activity at home. That's an easy way to like find the money to do those things. But like in your business, you might think you're busy, and you're busy because you're constantly thinking about your business, but you're not doing your business.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you're not making the phone calls, you're not following up with clients, you're not doing the things that are going to bring you business. And then you're focusing all your time and energy in organizing a spreadsheet, organizing your database. Those things are important, but there needs to be this like balance in it, because if you're constantly working on all of these things or overwhelmed or struggling with these things, you're never going to move forward because you feel like you're always busy, but you're not making space in your life because you haven't established those systems. So like
Mm-hmm.
I think that really like leads into the next thing we're talking about in terms of like self-discipline. I'm like the template queen. I love a good workflow. Maybe it's because I used to work in tech and like I think of things in like step 1 through 10. But a lot of the, and I still struggle with self discipline, honestly. Like there are moments where one of like my bad habits that I have is when I get in a state of stress or things get chaotic, I get so overwhelmed that I don't know what to do, and it's really really hard for me to get focused back into like what's
Mm-hmm.
important, and I have to use the tools of self-discipline. And the easiest way for me to do that, and it's something I do even when I'm not in a state of chaos, but I find that it helps ground me when I'm getting overwhelmed or stressed, is I have, and I found this like thing, these like little post-it notes. I think I got them in the clearance section, but you don't have to use this post-it notes. But I just say my top three, and it's small on purpose. There's three small boxes, and my top three. If my top three, one of my top three is to make call that one client, great. I have three things that I need to get done. If nothing else gets done, it helps me to focus on what's important. And then if I need to take time for self care or focus on my spreadsheets or my database or anything else, I'm okay. Like I start my day focusing on those top three, and then you'll be surprised at how much more you can get done when you do like those little things. That's what works for me. I know that's not going to work for everybody. I know, Justine, you use a lot of different like techniques and stuff because of ADHD. Do you have any good tips for people with self discipline?
Oh boy, I've got tips, but so I'm always listening to like ADHD YouTubers, and I was trying to figure out like I literally like Estella and I were just talking about this morning about how like I will always just Google exactly the thought that I have in order to find information. I don't think everybody realizes, or I shouldn't say realizes. I don't think everybody automatically thinks to do that, but literally, if I have a thought about anything, I'll put it in Google, and I will always get information back. And so I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
like, why aren't the planning tactics working for me with ADHD? And I got this guy's
Mm-hmm.
video that I just started watching on YouTube. And the thing with ADHD, it's difficult to explain, but the way that our brain works, and this is actually the way our neurons are firing, y'all. So
Mm.
everybody who says, like, oh, everybody has ADHD, no, it's not true. Those of us
Mm-mm.
who, there's a lot of us in real estate undiagnosed, let me tell you. Um, those of us who, because we are attracted to the same types of, I mean, entrepreneurship just in general, it's sales, all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. But our neurons fire in a different way. So, doing tasks that we find boring, our neurons actually do not fire as well as a typical brain's neurons. So when we
That's
are
so
bored,
fascinating.
yeah, when we are bored, so that's the whole thing is if ADHD people are bored, it's not that there's no self discipline, but that's what I call it, right? I struggle with self
Mhm.
discipline because essentially that's what it is, but there's a reason. If I'm
Mhm.
bored, it is 100 times more difficult for an ADHD brain, or not just ADHD, executive functioning. That can also happen from PTSD, from trauma, all different things.
Mhm.
What happens to your brain with ADHD and things like trauma, even after a stroke, something like that, are very similar. So boredom, that's where that self discipline
Mm.
comes in. So this guy was talking about planners, and he said, why can't you stick with one planning system? And he was saying it's because you get bored with it. And I was
Ah.
like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. You get bored with the planning systems. And so it's
Yeah.
very difficult to be like, I still need to use this. And you get bored with
Yeah.
planning. And so it is always going to be a constant struggle for me. I know that. That's why I'm always looking at new ways. I'm always reading ADHD books. I'm always looking for new tips because it is always going to be a struggle. I will say that what I always come back to is texting myself.
Mm.
It's like a post-it. I'm always going to look. And so what I'll do is I'll text myself the night before, very similar to your post-it, but I was kind of laughing inside when you
Mhm.
were talking about post-its because when I used post-its, I don't remember what movie it's from, but it's like you'll like find them pasted all over my wall. So I got done with post-its because when I was a teacher, I literally would have post-its all over my desk and I would pick them up and be like, "Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do this."
Yeah.
So I have stopped using post-its. So I will
Yeah.
generally text myself and or I do two things. I kind of go back and forth. I text myself because I'm, ruminating about the things I need to do the next day. I'll text myself the night before and then I won't answer, like I won't open it. So that like
Mhm.
little blue mark or whatever will be on my phone that I need to check it in the morning. I also add a task list to my calendar. And so
Mm.
again, same with you. I may not have the self-discipline to get through everything that I need to do, but I'm going to put those top 3 on my calendar that absolutely I have
Mhm.
to, and then I feel accomplished. I got these things done.
Yeah.
Um, but the self-discipline is hard. You're doing a lot of stuff you never had to do before, and you're doing it for yourself, and it's
Yeah.
much easier to disappoint yourself than it is to disappoint other people.
Oh, yes. Ooh, that's a good mic drop moment. If our
Seriously,
mics
right?
weren't connected, I would be like, boom.
For real. I will do
Yeah.
whatever I can be to be like the top because I want you to pat me on the back. I don't care about patting
Yeah.
myself on the back, and that's hard.
Right?
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
like we need
That
a
is very
motivational
hard.
coach to be like, "Good job, Estrella. Go. Yes, you're doing awesome. You're the
Yes.
best real estate agent ever. You're my top real estate agent." Clients
You're
out
like,
there, if you could just
yay.
cheer us on a little bit more, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, respond
Um,
when we ask for you to give us a rating on Google, please.
yeah, rate us, man. We need those ratings. We feed off them. But it's so true. If you're somebody who is a high performer, you don't realize always that maybe you're a high performer because you want to, I don't want to say a people pleaser because I don't think that's exactly the right word, but you want to be the best.
Yeah.
And so when it's only you judging you and you're not in a company of other people trying to be the best, it's not as much pressure. So,
Yeah.
and I work best under pressure,
Me
you know?
too.
Yeah.
I mean, fun fact is we work very well under pressure because we record in batches. So if you notice, like when you're watching the video pod on Spotify, we're in the same clothes. We really don't wear the
We
same
don't always
clothes. We
just
just,
dress up.
yeah, yeah. Um, we record in batches, but this is our bad habit. So we're going to be a little vulnerable with y'all right here. But when we know we're going to record, we literally start planning out the episodes the day before, like the
Or
night
the morning.
before.
No, literally an hour
Yeah.
before bed. And mine was just like bullet points and an idea this morning, you guys. It was a rough
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. But we work really well under pressure. So if you like the podcast and you think we're super organized, we work really well under pressure and record
Oh my
or
gosh.
plan our episodes out like the night before.
We're bearing our souls right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? I bet so many of other real estate agents relate because it's just what we do. I think
Hmm.
I think to be a real estate agent and to stay in, you have to love a bit of chaos, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that is true. Hmm.
how could you not? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe there's a is there a real estate agent out there that's like super organized and has had systems in place the whole time? If you are out there, please message us, email us, talk to us in the group because
It's
I want to know
probably
how you did it,
it's probably
you
Tara
know?
McCarthy from like Girls with Grit because she's just like
Ooh,
all about her systems and checklists. Like she's on it. I'm like, I want to be in your brain.
yes. Yeah, seriously. It wasn't me. I'm still trying to figure
Yeah.
mine out here at the beginning of year 3.
Yeah.
Uh, and that brings us to our fourth biggest area of struggle in your first couple of years, and that is motivation. And this
Hmm.
is like getting real. Like, how do you not quit? You
Yeah.
know, I don't mean just like, oh, how do I stay super hyper motivated? I mean, like, how do you stay motivated enough to not just like quit and go back to comfort, a
Hmm.
paycheck that's there? Because I will tell you, in my mind, there has been many times where I'm like, I'm tired. But I'm like, "No, Justine, just another year and you'll be there." I'm just
Yeah.
always trying to talk myself into holding on longer, you
Hmm.
know? What
Yeah,
about
I
you?
think it's golden shackles. Have you
Yeah,
heard that term before?
I have.
And I think, we get so used to, especially if this isn't your first career, right? So you get to a place where you're making a really good income, and then you go to a place like real estate where you're running your business and it is so cyclical and it can be up and down. And as you're kind of figuring out your systems, you have these seasons of busy, and you're so busy you're not working in or on your business, you're working in your business. And
Mhm.
so I think when you start to get like past your busy season and you have a lull because you haven't been feeding your pipeline, those are the times where you start to get very demotivated and you start to stress and struggle. For me, I think one of the things that I do to help me stay motivated, or I should say a couple of the things. The first thing is just understanding your why. Like, why did you start real estate in the first place? And I think for a lot of people, that this isn't your first career, you had a very specific reason that was not tied to money. It was tied to a lifestyle, it was tied to creativity, it was tied to flexibility, like whatever that looked like for you. Remembering the reason why you wanted to be a real estate agent in the first place is a good reason to stay motivated. And then understanding, like, what are your drivers? Like, what is it that keeps you going? Not just what was your why, but what is it that fills your tank? And for me, I love my clients. Like, I love helping my clients and helping them through the process. And I mean, I are so many people that have become friends because were my client first. And that's what keeps me moving forward. When I help people that never thought they could be a homeowner to become a homeowner and build generational wealth through real estate. For me, as somebody who grew up in a place where we didn't have a lot of money. We were eating government cheese, which is also known as Velveeta nowadays. Like, we were the OGs on the Velveeta train. But knowing the power of this business and owning my potential is what helps me to stay motivated. I worked very, very hard for about 20 years in corporate America, building someone else's dream and never being rewarded at the level that I should have been. If I would have taken that same dedication and effort and poured it into myself and my business, I could have a life that is life changing, not just for myself, but for my ancestors, for all of the people, the generations that come after me. I'm building a legacy for them to continue to grow and build from the foundation that I'm building today. And that's what keeps me motivated, that I
That
don't
just gave me
want to
chills.
repeat.
Like, that really
Yeah.
just gave me the chills, like, to think of, like you said, you're building that generational when ancestors, like, damn, we are gonna be the ancestors someday.
Hmm.
We really are, like, and that's huge, like, to think
Yeah.
about it in that way. That is awesome.
Yeah, I think both of us, right? Like we both didn't
Mhm,
come from this life that was, what do they call it, like silver spoon or whatever. Like
mhm.
we both struggled. And I think a lot of real estate agents, like we're very, very, like we have a lot of grit. We have a lot of
For
like
sure.
pull yourself up from the bootstraps kind of mentality. And when you think of it, that it's bigger just than the transaction, but what is the life and the legacy that you want to build?
I
That's
love
what keeps
that.
me motivated.
Love it. Yes, so
Hmm.
true. Yeah, for me, staying motivated is just number 1, I shouldn't say I don't like to fail. I'm fine with failing if it's like a failure I need. I can definitely say like
Hmm.
within my real estate business in the first couple of years, I've definitely failed at some things in the business, but
Hmm.
not a complete fail. When I get something in my head and I want to do it, I want to see it. I want to see the fruition.
Mhm.
And so that's what
Mhm.
keeps me motivated. And I am a firm believer that if you really want something and you just stick with it, that it will happen. It may look differently than you pictured it. It may take longer than you thought it was going to take. I mean, it happened
Mhm.
with I have 2 degrees, y'all. I have a marketing degree and a master's in education, and
Yeah.
yes, it took, but I had kids at 20 years old. So it
Mhm.
took me 8 years, you guys, to get my first degree. Way longer than I thought it would, but I got there. And
Yes.
it's funny because now I'm in real estate. This is a sidetrack, but now I'm in real estate. Not even using, I shouldn't say I'm not using my degrees. I am definitely using them. Of
Yes.
course, I owe a ridiculous amount of student loans, but I would never take that away. A lot of people are like, well, don't you wish you wouldn't have gone to college? No, I love education. And the biggest thing that it taught me is to get through something that I didn't always like doing, to do those
Mhm.
nitty gritty steps to get to the end point that was going to get me what I wanted. And
Mhm.
that's in itself is a life lesson, right? Going through something
Yep.
hardcore, 8 years for a 4 year degree. Now, my
Yeah.
next one only took me 2 years for a 3 year degree. So that's good.
You
Um,
fast tracked it.
I did. But what
Mhm.
I'm saying is, it's the same thing with real estate, right? I thought with my ADHD brain who gets like super excited that like my first year I was going to be making like 100,000 right out the gate, because I was going to be doing
Yeah.
all the things. I was going to door knock, I was going to cold call. Well, then reality hits when you go to cold call and you go to door knock and you're like, "Oh, I can't do this for 8 hours a day. I've got to try something else." And
Mhm.
so I have not made good money. I've talked about this before. I'm dual careering it right now. I went back to bartending, not teaching because that took too much out of me. I went back to bartending so that I could continue building my business because I'm going to do it no matter what. So,
Mhm.
find whatever motivates you. If it's,
Yeah.
and just keep repeating it in your head. If it's your
Yeah.
whys, if it's your, I just got to get to this goal, whatever it is. But just know that you're going to struggle and that's normal. It's okay to not be motivated all the time. It's okay if you want to go cry in a
Mhm.
pillow because your real estate career isn't taking off like you wanted it, if you don't have clients for the first 6 months or even the first year or even the first two
Mhm.
years. I know several people that this has happened. It's totally okay. So
Yeah.
it's normal, I think.
Yeah. I think so too.
Can we explain what golden handcuffs is?
Oh, yeah. So golden handcuffs are, and I'm probably gonna misdefine or define it wrong, but overall, the concept of golden handcuffs is you stay working for a job or in a career because the income is so good that you leaving it makes you feel like you're not going to succeed. So you stay handcuffed or imprisoned, and I'm using air quotes for those of you listening on audio, but you stay imprisoned because you are so comfortable and content and you are not able to be your true self and you're miserable, but you stay
Mhm.
for the money
Yeah,
in
and
itself.
see, now I was thinking that it didn't always even mean money. I think it applies to anything. The golden handcuffs, even as far as teaching. It's salaried, great
Mhm.
insurance, summers
Mhm.
off. Is it
Yeah.
was it allowing me to build the life, like you said, that generational wealth for my family? It was not, and it was taking more out of me than it was giving back. That's how I finally figured out I had to leave, because I was like, I love this job and it's so rewarding, but it's leaving me empty for my family.
Mhm.
But I think it's a similar thing. Those golden
Yeah.
handcuffs, I believe, can be anything that those companies are, or maybe that's not what the actual definition, but that's kind of how I was thinking of it. Anything that a
Yeah.
company might be offering you that seems golden, that seems wonderful and
Yeah.
amazing, and then you realize, oh, it's not, but you have to stay because now you're handcuffed. It gave
Yeah.
you these
Yeah.
things, and you stay for these reasons, which are good reasons, but it's still not what you want to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
So
that
definitely a
definition too.
leap of faith. So if you're in real
Mhm.
estate, you're brave. Let's
Yes.
just give props to any real estate agent out there, because if you have taken the leap to be a real estate
Yes.
agent, you are brave. Like literally, little clap,
Yes. I know.
because seriously.
What's your biggest piece of advice that you would give to a new real estate agent, or even just a real estate agent who's been in it for a while, but they just don't feel like they're moving at the rate that they want to be moving?
So I would say, I think probably two. Two things I would say. One, I would say give yourself grace and
Mm-hmm.
talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend who was telling you
Ooh,
about
yes.
the
That's a good
struggles.
one.
If you talk to a friend and they're like, I'm feeling really down, I just don't feel like I'm doing enough, what would you say back to them?
Mm-hmm.
You would say, you know what, you're doing great, just keep doing it. And it's okay if you really need to give yourself grace and treat yourself good. And it's not something that comes naturally. So I have to constantly remind myself to stop giving myself such a hard time and to start
Mm-hmm.
caring about myself sometimes.
Yeah.
You still need to get what you need as a human being while you're figuring out your
Mm-hmm.
real estate career. My second
Yeah.
piece of advice is just do not stop. I told
Yeah.
my other friends who are in real estate is like, I feel like if we just half-ass things for like 3 or 4 years, we're good. Like, because I've seen, I know I don't mean that like completely, but I'm like, I feel like part of figuring out the business is just committing to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you will get there, just don't leave. I think a lot of people end up giving up and leaving because it's too hard. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
mean like half ass it, but what I'm saying is if you really commit and you just stay and you don't give up, you'll figure it out. Just
Yeah.
don't go. Even if you got to take a
Yeah.
6 month break or whatever, like just
Just keep
stay in it.
going.
No matter what.
Don't
Just
tell
stay in
anybody
it.
you quit. Just keep going.
Exactly. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. What about you?
Well, I have two as well. So I think the first one is consistency is key. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it really is. To your point, like just keep going. If you just pick like one or two things to consistently do every single day, if it's
Mhm.
posting on social, if it's sending out emails, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, if you just consistently do those things for a year, you will see some results. It
Mm.
doesn't have to be big. Consistency. Just pick something and just keep doing it. I think we get like, there's so many things that we're being sold as real estate agent, all
Mhm.
these programs, all these coaching software and marketing tools. You don't need them all. You just need one or two. So pick what your one or two things are going to be and just be consistent, consistently do it for a year.
You saying that, like, it seriously just clicked in my head when you're talking about the consistency. When I first started, I was super consistent on social for that good first
Mhm.
year and a half. And I started hearing all these other things I was supposed to be doing. And I know I talked to Estrella and Sarah about it, just like, I need to shut this stuff down. I have
Mhm.
been looking at way too many shiny objects. And I will tell you all right now, I'm still not back on my game. I still haven't been able to get that consistency back yet. You just saying that, because I was like, well, what was working for me? Social media.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got sidetracked. I started trying to implement other things, and I had other stuff going on in my life too. But that consistency, like you said, with that one thing
Mm-hmm.
is huge. I didn't even
Yeah.
like relate, like, oh, I was consistent with that before, and now I haven't been.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
kind of just hit me hard. It's like, oh, maybe you just need to like go back to being more consistent about that.
Yeah. Just one thing. Just
Yeah.
do it. It's like
Mhm.
a diet, right? Or workout plan. Sometimes you fall off, and that's okay. Just hop back on.
Mhm. So true.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what's your second
And
thing?
then my last little piece of advice, which has made the biggest impact on my mental health and my business health, is finding the right community. It doesn't
Mm,
have to be in person. And I think this podcast is a true testament to that.
so true.
Sometimes your community is online, and
Mhm.
some of those people are going to be rooting for you in ways that your friends and family just don't. And some of those people you're going to be able to bare your soul and be vulnerable and get advice and get all the virtual hugs that you don't get in person. And that's okay. And that has helped me to become more confident in finding a local community. And I have three really good local real estate agents that I've become really good friends with. And we are all in the same market, we sell in the same areas, but it's okay because we have that community where we can ask each other advice. We help each other on our listings, on our buyer stuff. Like, we ask questions, and having that community and being vulnerable enough to know that you don't have to be the expert in all things is key. Like, one of the people that I talk to very frequently, she's been in the business for over 10 years. I bring value to her business and she brings value to mine because we look at things in a very different way. So
I love
having
that.
that community is really good, just to kind of connect with people and like pour into yourself and have that community, because that really helps. There's a lot of like science behind your social and emotional health by being part of a community. So that is really key. But that community is also can help you with your business as well and growing that.
I totally agree with you. I definitely have a community, both you, Sarah, other people I've met online, as well as here in my local area, and I do not know what I would do without it, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So find it.
Yeah.
And like I said, first people that I met was I just joined committees for my association when I started.
Mm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
have several girlfriends that I met doing that work. And 2 years later, we still meet for coffee regularly, brainstorm,
Mm-hmm.
motivate each other. So I think
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, it's key. Well, we talked
So,
about some really cool stuff. Hopefully, this is like really helpful for everybody.
yeah, so we'll just do one action item for the week, and that
Yes.
is to give yourself a pat on the back for entering
Yes.
the crazy world of real estate. Like, seriously, give yourself a hug because
Mm,
you are brave,
yes.
and just know that if you stick with it, it's all going to be good. You
Mm-hmm.
will be successful.
Yes. 100%. Well, y'all, may your posts have a journey of a lifetime.
See you at the next destination.
Bye.